uh, I feel like when I say life is long, I feel more along the lines of it changes a lot and you'll change a lot. And, you know, 5 years from now, you will be pretty different. You hear those doubts in your head. Sometimes the doubts kind of like, you just have to decide whether or not they're doubts from you or they're doubts from what you perceive to be like other people's doubts.
You mentioned to me when we first talked about your personal reasons for creating art and why you feel so drawn to it. Haha.
I see what you did there.
And how that changes as you grow and how life is like long. I'd love to hear more about how that resonates in your work, because as a young artist, it's a little bit harder to see into the future, but I love the way that you explained it.
Yeah, I think we talked last time, and I think we were talking just about that idea of when you think that you watch animated films, you fall in love with animated films. This is what happened to me, and I'm sure this happened to a lot of people. And then you want to work in animation really bad, and but once you get there, it's a job, and it's a lot of fun, but it's also a job. And so by the time you get there, you'll probably want to start your brain's already starting to think about other things, like what am I going to do, like where do I want to live. I would think that for some reason I was like, oh, I'll get a job in animation and then everything will be great. But it's just, life kind of like moves along, right? And so life changes, things change, you absolutely change, right? And so I think keeping kind of like an open mind, like just work on your, like, I feel like the times I've always benefited is that I've worked on myself, and then in working on myself, I'll find a spot that I want to be, right? Because I think that aiming for something like that is hard. Aiming for like if you're like, oh, that's the end all be all, I want to work in animation, great, but you will end up kind of like, it's such a process. You got to go to school, you got to get some like smaller jobs, and you find some other jobs, and through that process you're going to change. And so I think just being aware of those changes is really important to see how you are going to evolve. And so maybe you might not even, you go through it all and you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Or, it's like, oh, I don't really want to be an animator. I want to be a set designer, or I want to be, I want to work in live action and film, that type of thing. And so just keeping an open mind always seemed to help. I feel like when I say life is long, I feel more along the lines of it changes a lot and you'll change a lot. And, 5 years from now, you will be pretty different. We all will, for the most part.
Yeah, for sure. That's great advice. Especially as a kid, the whole thing is that storybook ending. You're always looking for it. Like, once I get accepted into CalArts, it's all gonna be fine.
Yeah,
but it's
exactly.
not like that.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. And so, the dream would be, instead of, shooting for CalArts and putting all of your eggs in that basket, like just make art that you like, that you're really enjoying and you feel good, and then you have a lot of good art, and then that will kind of like give you that will read in your art. And so if CalArts doesn't accept you, then they're crazy, but by that time you might be like, oh, actually, you know what, this is I'm more set up for Art Center, or I'm more set up for another school that, like, it goes in a different way, maybe not necessarily CalArts. So yeah, I think that there's definitely a benefit to helping yourself like by kind of uh, really kind of like analyzing yourself and help and kind of like building yourself up as you go. So when I was in um, in going for various animation jobs right off the bat, I had a lot of stuff in my portfolio from like everything, right? Some character designs and some storyboards and some 3D models, and it had everything, right? And I was like, I'm ready for like any job, right? And any job that would come out, I feel like I was putting together all this art. Like I was like, oh, a storyboard job came up. Oh, okay. Well then, oh, I only have a little bit of storyboard, so let me storyboard some more stuff really quick. And then I aimed at that, and I didn't get it, right? And then a character design job would come up. Oh, okay. Let me draw a bunch of character designs, and I'm now aiming at that job, and I didn't get it. And I would do that for a few different jobs, but then at a certain point, I'd come back to storyboards, and I'd be like, oh, if I only spent that time working on storyboards, I would have been fine. But like instead of kind of like trying to chase that job in any way, shape, or form, it was easier actually just to like it would have been easier just to make my own storyboards, concentrate on one thing, and when the jobs will kind of like appear when it's the right time.
That is very interesting. Taniko Pantoja recently did a video on that topic, and I found that surprising because, yeah, because what am I trying to say? Exactly like how you said, you were in so many different areas that you wanted to do them all, like how you said about keeping an open mind.
Right.
But when it comes time for a storyboarding job, it's not that you can't be prepared for that because you're already spreading yourself so much. How do you, as someone who does, I do a bunch of different things all the time, like writing and stuff.
Yeah, right.
It's not like I am good at one thing, and this is something that personally I am afraid of. Fear.
Right.
How do you balance loving everything, keeping an open mind, but then also making sure you're specialized in something so that you are hireable in the first place?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes it difficult, right? Because you want to, like, if you are one of those people that's involved in a lot of different things, you like to do a lot of different projects. There's a place for that. There's a place for people that can come in and they don't just do, storyboards. They do storyboards and they do some editing and they do some animation, you know what I mean? And they do some effects. So there's kind of these positions that are for that. So I think there's always this idea of like, I feel like I'm contradicting myself in a way, but it's kind of like if you go for like one thing like so strongly, but it's not the thing that you want to do, but that's what you're going to be doing because that's the thing that you're showing, right? So let's say you're storyboarding, you're like, I don't really like storyboarding that much, well, if you get the job, you're going to be storyboarding quite a bit. So there's definitely jobs out there that are kind of for those things. Like, okay, you want to be a writer and director, then you would be like, okay, this is the way that I want to do it. I want to work through these things. So you can kind of like find a niche. There's definitely like places for people that are they call them like generalists, right? So a couple friends that like have and they're knowledgeable in so many little like factors, and so they kind of bring all that together to like produce this like amazing stuff because they're so multifaceted, right? And that's definitely an approach that that's great. That I think on paper it doesn't get a lot of power. Like I don't think a lot of people like respect it very much. But they call it jack of all trades, right? But I don't think that you want. I think a quote goes something like that. You'd have to correct me, but it's something like jack of all trades, master of none, but better than master of one, or something
that's
like
the
this,
one,
right? Okay, good. I'm glad you know it. Cool. And then you don't want to pin yourself so hard into one thing that like you have no like flexibility, because again, like you want to look at things from the outside. So like if you go running or if you like soccer, these if you are you like, reading like fiction, and you watch anime, then all these things kind of like build up into your world, and they're just ways that you can kind of like look at yourself through different like lenses, and those lenses can be helpful to like kind of like break you free from like just being like maybe like so closed on one idea.
That's a fantastic answer. That's very helpful, personally.
Really? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel
I'm actually doing another series of interviews based on that topic of doing people who do so many things at once, like Alex Hirsch, who writes, acts, and man,
he does it all.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's very, very helpful.
I think you're on the right path. I don't think that there should be a nervousness to that, because there's I definitely can sense that from like some of my friends feel that way, but they're good at many things, and to be honest, I feel like their life's pretty rich because they're able to like try different things and move things around. They're super flexible, right? So that's like a really powerful skill that just by itself, you can write, you can direct, you can act, like you're very flexible.
Yeah, for sure.
That could be really powerful.
Yeah, that's when I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do after school, I was listing all the writing and acting and stuff, and I figured out the skill that everybody has is just storytelling in general. If you do that in acting and writing and art, if you got that, you're good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, all different kinds of storytelling, right? Different mediums and music, everything.
Yeah, for sure. When is the last time you created without fear, and how did that affect your work?
Oh man, let's see. One of my favorite things to do is to poke fun at my friends, and so I always feel that my best drawings are the drawings where I'll do something really quick. I drop all my work that I'm working on. I drop it all, and I immediately draw in Photoshop or on a piece of paper or something, a drawing of them, and I'll send it to like a group of friends. We'll laugh and we'll have fun. So that's always like the part where I'm always like, oh, I can't wait to do this part, and it's been pretty fun to kind of like pick at friends with stuff like that. Usually, I tend to like the art that's like it's light. You know what I mean? It feels light in that way, and I don't really care about the drawing, and but in that way, it's kind of fun, like it makes it funner. Or I can try. It gets me a little bit more free. I don't have to be, sometimes you have to draw on model or have your characters like, in the same kind of vein of film language that the other people that you're working with are working in, and sometimes you can just draw like whatever you want and send it there. It's funny. It's a one-off. It's great. Made people laugh. There you go. That's great.
I love that. That's awesome. Oh
I'm
no!
back.
I hope the recording saved. I really hope it did. If not,
we'll do it again. We'll do it again. How does fear factor into you?
Wait,
I'll ask you
questions. Again? Who are you?
Oh,
again?
yeah, that's right. Okay, you have to say Wait, give your intro, clap, and then.
I think I mentioned this when we first met, but you did this interview with Bobby Chu where you were talking about seeing a part in a movie that you don't like, and then you go home and you're fueled with anger, so you just reboard the whole thing as to what you wish happened. Yeah. And I really love that mindset of not waiting for permission and doing it yourself. I'd love to know how you developed that mindset and what it means to you.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of art stuff doesn't work like as waiting for permission. I think you just have to do stuff. So you understand this great. So the idea that, look, if you're gonna do it, just do it. Like you don't necessarily have to wait for permission from the world. You can kind of as their example is kind of like funny because it's like it's a little like angry. But on the other side of that, like there's definitely been movies where I felt like inspired to like work on something, and then you just go and you start making stuff. And I think a lot of times you just have to kind of get your hands dirty. You just have to do it, and that's how you learn. There's something to definitely like getting in there. Um, you know, that's like you can talk about it and kind of like fantasize about it, but like the minute that you really kind of dive in is when you start to kind of like really see what it can be. And I think asking for permission, uh, you know, you're kind of like a lot of times you just have to like be okay with giving yourself permission to do stuff. I think that mindset has been with me for a while.
Do you
I
feel,
don't know
sorry
how.
for interrupting,
Oh,
do
yeah, go
you
ahead.
feel like you were, I don't know, born with that mindset, or did you have to build it up yourself?
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is sometimes I will wait, like I feel like I'm waiting for position or permission from someone, and then really I'm just kind of like waiting for permission from myself. And so uh, I think I was for the most part born with it, I guess. I don't remember like really learning, but I do remember being just okay to like to make things and create things. Always kind of like a need to create. A lot of artists are like this, right? So like you like to draw a lot, so you're going to draw all through class and school and things like that. I don't even if you know you don't necessarily have like the permission to make like an art piece at home. um for like you could still, I was still constantly like making stuff. You just making stuff. I don't know if that answers that question. Probably not at all.
It's very interesting. No, 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 it's good. um, what am I trying to say?
Yeah, what is it more like? So you're saying like some people will kind of like wait to see if like someone will like give them a chance
Yeah,
at
for sure.
something, right? Yeah. Like just do it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I've kind of always been in that mode. um that I think like once I convince myself that I'll do it, I'll just kind of do it. It usually turns out uh in a good way. It's not like you always get like you get lots of rejections if you're trying to go for jobs, or if you're trying to um make something that's maybe like too big out of your mindset. But I think there's always something to be learned by trying to make stuff and just allowing yourself to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's the hardest. That's why I wanted to do this series about fear. Getting the permission from yourself is literally, like, personally, the hardest thing to do because
Hmm.
I think most of us are like how you said, we're born, kids don't care what they're doing. They just scribble on walls and stuff. They don't care if it's good, it's all fine.
Yeah.
You know, as you grow up, you kind of learn from other people, all of that gets into you, and you start like doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did that happen for you? It must have happened.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it happens to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Those doubts always like live in your head.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to tell them to leave,
Disappear.
disappear?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sometimes why people stop drawing or do because they see it as some element of, oh, you know I think it has a lot to do with like societal stuff, like, oh, there's so many more people that are better than I am, or people have told me that you can never get a job doing this type of thing, or like that's a waste of time. Why would you do that? That's just your imagination. uh, all those things kind of end up kind of like sitting around, and it's usually like from other uh, like societal issues. But I think it's just you power through for like what you want to do. You kind of like you look at you know your own process. I guess I would say that you don't have so there's all these doubts. There are all these doubts that are kind of like hanging out over your head. And so what you'd want to do is you'd want to like push them out by kind of like finding your kind of like center almost, almost like a practice of like, but like, is this what I really like to do? Is this what I really want to do? Of course, everyone kind of has doubts and they hang out in there, but a lot of times those doubts prove to be kind of wrong, especially if you push through. You're like, oh, this is going to be awkward. I don't want to talk to this person, or I don't want to ask this person for help, or I don't want to make this thing. No one's going to like it. But I think if you like it, you can, you just have to really be like true to yourself, like finding like what you like. That answer made no sense.
No, it did. It's like what do you mean it didn't make sense? No, I'm doubting.
Well, don't you ever feel like you hear those doubts in your head? Sometimes the doubts kind of like you just have to decide whether or not they're doubts from you or they're doubts from what you perceive to be like other people's doubts. Because you'll find worthwhile stuff to do and to make, in very unlikely places. And I don't, some people have like a really, really strong vision for something, and you just have to kind of follow that, see if that's good. It's like, it kind of comes back to what you're saying, like passion, fear. It's like those emotions are the things that you're looking for. So I don't know if it's not going to be really great to like logically combat emotional stuff. I think you have to, really kind of like lean into your passions.
It sounds like you're very grounded then. You keep reminding yourself of why you enjoy that thing you do.
I'm probably not grounded because I have to keep reminding myself of things.
Well, I mean, it's more than most people do, which is very good. But that is very important because I think I was talking about this with Noor. Mm-hmm. She was talking about how even if you fail or even if you succeed, it doesn't matter because your reason for doing it is so strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you do that? I guess that's what I'm trying to think of a better question than how did you do that? That's such a good skill to develop. Was there a time in your career or in your life where you weren't sure of yourself or what you wanted to do? Mm-hmm. And now, at this point in time, what would you tell that person, your younger self, who didn't know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because you were a different person at that time. And so you probably needed different things or words of encouragement than you do now, because it's hindsight's so easy to see, like, oh God, why did you struggle so hard with that for so long? Like, why didn't you get here? But I think that journey is the thing that kind of makes you more complete, or at least who you are in like the present form. And so I guess if I were going to go back and I was going to talk to myself, I would just say, make your own stuff, make your own, like, don't, like we were talking about, like with the jobs, like don't dig around for jobs. Like, I know you want to eat. I know I was working at Target. And so I think, but at the same time, I can't help but think like, I had to, I just like relax, make your own art, like build up your portfolio the way that you want to make it, and like show your true colors like through that artwork, and then that will get you the better positions that you want. Because the minute you get, like, if you think everyone wants to see ducks, swimming in a, whatever, in a little like pond, and you just draw, but you don't like it, but you just fill up your portfolio with ducks and ponds, they're gonna hire you to draw ducks in ponds.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. You want to do stuff that you want to do, because like the minute that you're like, I love whatever, I love, you know, giant robots, and so the minute that someone's like, shoot, we need someone to do giant robots, it's like, here I am. You know, like that's like hopefully the best like way to work. Like ideally that would work. Like sometimes, of course, you like, oh, it's not giant robots, it's giant lizards. Oh, okay, cool. You know, like, oh, I can do that too. So, but I don't think it's a one for one. But I think that those elements of kind of like staying true to yourself, those things are the pieces that I would like to convey to myself as a younger person.